advice to farmers.
Yes.
What would you have to say to farmers in this state and in this region? Tell me, what are the few take-homes that you have to tell them?
So I find it is very exciting to work in this state and in this region because we have such a diverse agriculture and because we have the integration with the livestock, especially with the ruminant animals. We have a lot of opportunities for really having very diverse cropping systems and integrating a lot of different types of crops into our cropping system, which is really a blessing. Like we have perennials in our cropping systems. I mean, in a large part of the United States, there are no perennials anymore in the cropping systems, and we know from a soil management point of view how beneficial those perennials are. We have a lot of different types of crops, and we can also integrate a lot of crops into our cropping systems and utilize them because we can not only utilize the grain, but we can also use even the plant material because we have the ruminant animals. We have the manure in the system. We talk about the magic of manure. It is something we were the other day talking to my colleague about how surprising it is that we can get very high crop yields despite our soils not being the best. I think it has a lot to do with the magic of manure. A lot of those farmers, they use the manure, and the manure is a great soil amendment and a way to improve soil quality. So we have a lot to speak for, I would say, and a lot of opportunities to have a diverse agriculture. And but that being said, I still think we still need to be vigilant because a lot of our land is highly erodible. We have 60% of our cropland is highly erodible. So we absolutely have to be very serious about erosion control first of all. We need to keep the soil covered basically year round. And we now have methods that we can use that enable us to keep the mulch on the land continuously or to have living vegetation on the land. So that is the other component, is to try to find ways so that we always have living vegetation in the field. And then that we need to think about ways to increase our diversity. There are still a lot of pressures because of how the agricultural industry and science works. It kind of tends to lead to less diversity. Monocultures. For example, there are some dairy farmers, they only grow corn. And perhaps they grow corn and rye. That's it. And then they pound the soil with manure. It is a very monotonous cropping system. So we really need to look for ways that we diversify that cropping system. And there are many ways now that we have. So so we have diversity. We can integrate the perennials in our cropping systems. We can use cover crops during periods where otherwise we would have fallow. And then we now come into an exciting time where we are looking at mixtures of cover crops. But even the other day I was on a farm, they had a field day. They were experimenting with even mixtures for their economic crops. So to mix, for example, corn with other crops, grow them together, and then we now have harvesting machinery that can harvest that whole mass and produce silage. Those are very exciting things that I see on the horizon. We have put so much emphasis on corn, basically. Corn, soybeans, and then perhaps a little bit of alfalfa. But especially corn, and it has become very productive. and we have a lot of genetics improvement in the genetics that make that corn crop look great and tend to steer us towards all growing corn. But we need to really look at how can we diversify that and not rely only on one crop so much.
You mentioned the magic of manure.
Yeah.
Give us just sort of the underlying scientific reason for why manure is so magic. What's the reason for the benefit of ruminant animals on the soils?
Yeah. When you look at a rumen and a soil, they are in a way there are similarities. I was talking to some livestock nutritionists, and they were saying in the ruminant animal you feed the microbes, you don't feed the cow.